It's a brand new day, of course, and a new episode of the program. And our focus this week on the program will be food importation and its effects, with a focus on the border closure. Of course, we know that Nigeria's border has been, closed for a long time now, and this, of course, has been of great effect to our food production and even exportation. And of course, the prices, as we all know what Nigeria is grappling with at this time. We have our guests and our experts in the studio to speak to us on what the effect of this food importation and what it portends for Nigerian economy, and of course to Nigerians who in turn are the end users of these products. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, sir, like our topic says, it's food importation and effects with a focus on border closure.
Yes.
First and foremost, what is food importation before we talk about it?
Yes, Nigeria over the years has been notorious as one of the major nations that imports just anything into their country. At a point, Nigeria imports basic things and minimal things as small as toothpick into the country. We import tissue papers, we import all sorts, both needed and unneeded, into the country. So when we are talking about food importation, it's a process whereby major food products or food items or food raw materials that Nigeria needs are being imported either to supplement the industry for food production or for outright consumption.
Okay, so what are the effects of this importation to the Nigerian economy?
Yes, importation to the Nigerian economy generally will make Nigeria to spend more foreign currencies for these imports, whereby reducing the foreign reserve. Because the more a country imports with a lower corresponding level of exports, then it means that it will be depleting the foreign reserves. So what that does is that as much as it covers or closes the gap of the luxury that Nigerians want, it also affects the economic projections of the country, and it also affects the profitability of the Nigerian economy if we are an import-dependent country. It's a very dangerous thing, and that is what Nigeria has been over the years. And I believe the government is trying to be able to change the dynamics to ensure that our export is more than the imports.
Okay, some experts over time, and you have also told us on different occasions in the program that the border closure has done so much good than harm to the agricultural sector of Nigeria. Can you expatiate?
Yeah, the border closure has done a lot for Nigeria, because I'll give two major examples for this. Over the years, you discover that most of the rice products that are being imported into the country, or we can safely say smuggled into the country, compete with the existing ones in the country. And when it does, it comes in at a lower price than the existing ones that are being produced in the country. And it stifles the capacity of rice producers in the country. So when the government closed the borders, it made sure and gave enabling environment for rice producers in the country on all the rice value chains. It also helped to be able to increase capacity and quality, and it also helps to be able to set a profitable price for both the producer and the buyer on the long run. And we now discover that before, unlike before, that we used to have very low quality products of rice when we are competing with competition of smuggled rice products. We now have very high grade grains in the country being produced in the country and being circulated. and the capacity has been increasing over time. So the closure of the border as regards smuggling or importation of rice has really helped to boost local capacity, has really helped to increase the number of stakeholders in the rice sector. It has also increased the number of employed people in that sector, and it has also increased the economies of those states. For example, like Kebbi State, that is a major grower of rice, and Lagos State, that is a major packaging that has a major packaging facility for rice, and some other states as well. So it has boosted the economy in that area. So border closure helped the local producers to be able to scale up, to be able to withstand competition, to be able to also reach out and produce quality food products for the people. Because most of the products sometimes as well that are coming in have stayed in their warehouses in wherever they are coming from for a long time, and by the time they come into the country, they tend to become poisons to the people.
Okay, Nigerians, I would say Nigerians are complaining. Let me use the word complain.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to rice production.
Yes.
Before now, rice is being sold, Nigerian rice,
Yes.
is being sold for 7,000 and maybe 12,000 for 50 kg.
Yes.
And then gradually went to 18,
Yeah.
and then 20, and now it's 38, 32,
Yes, yes.
35. And now they are beginning to complain that this rice, some of them are not stone free. Some that are even stone free are not as the quality is not as the long grain and like what they have with this, exported rice.
Yes.
What should the government do in this regard in ensuring that, because I want to believe that the machineries are what is really needed, and
to improve the quality of the products.
And then why are investors not keen in as much?
The thing is that Nigeria has just started this line of rice production. You can see, was it last year or the year before that we had the rice pyramid in Abuja, trying to encourage more people to go into rice farming and the whole value chain, whether rice farming or the rice packaging and the rest. So what we discover is that there are so many machinery that needs to be put in place to be able to sort out this rice processing, to pass through the rice processing chain, to ensure that all those silt of stones and the rest are completely removed and the quality is top standard quality. So these machines are being brought to the country, like the one in the Lake Rice in Lagos, for example. For those that have bought it, said that it can compete favorably with other imported grains into the country. But these complaints of the people is not far-fetched, because people want to quickly cut corners and make more money. Because when you want to have a smooth transition from the field, from the harvest field down to the production and finished sector, you have to have machines that are capital intensive to be able to run that whole route. And that is what is required for every rice packaging and manufacturing outfit in the country. So these are part of the hindrances, and also based on the cost of foreign exchange that is slowing down this kind of investment in those kind of machines. And that is why we're having them trying to use sometimes locally made machines or fabricated ones, so that they can be able to get the rice to the final stage. But over time, if Nigeria continues to provide the enabling environment and ensure that the competition from outside will not stifle local production, more people are going to go into the sector.
Okay, we've heard it. If those coming in from outside are not there to stifle, the efforts of those local producers, the rice production in Nigeria is going to go to greater height. Let's quickly take a break. And our guest is still with us on the program. Stay tuned. It's still the program Agric Economy, and we're talking about food importation with the focus of the border closure and, of course, the effect the effect of this border closure and food importation on the Nigerian economy. And we've heard our guests say so much about rice. Now we'll be taking a look at other products. For example, the sugar, we
Yes.
have the
Tin
likes
tomatoes,
of the tomatoes,
the condiments.
yes,
And
the
the rice.
Irish and vegetables and the rest of it.
Vegetables are being
Why do
imported.
we not have other products get the same attention?
Yes.
Because if you look at it, rice has got so much attention
Yeah.
than other products. Why is it so?
You discover that the federal government, due to no fault of theirs, have decided to focus a larger attention on products that are fit for exports. And that is why most of the attention of the government is drawn to ensure that most of the food products are fit for export in Nigeria. When we now talk of importation of sugar, for example, or tin tomatoes and condiments, you discover that we have, I'll give one example of a tin tomato manufacturer in Nigeria, I think Risco Bumpet. It has to close down because the importation of the foreign tin tomatoes dwarfed his cost and pushed him out of market because he was one of the few people that delve into those areas. The same thing with sugar, for example. Nigeria has not reached the capacity utilization of our sugar resources because we discovered that the major constituent of sugar is gotten from sugarcane, which we are producing far more than necessary. But you still discover that Nigeria still imports about 60% of its sugar needs, despite the fact that we have Dangote sugar, we have BUA sugar, and a few of them. So you discover that the potentials are there, but we have not fully exploited them for one reason or the other. And the importation of this sugar and all these other condiments and this thing, food products, have really put a strain on our foreign reserves because we spend a lot of dollars to get them into the country.
Okay, you've talked about sugar, and if you look at sugar, I know of I don't know if it's for the two giant stakeholders that we have in
Manufacturers,
Nigeria.
yes.
That owns. I know there is one sugar, a proposed sugar manufacturing plant in Nasarawa
Okay.
that was earmarked for that. Though the whole thing is still on.
It has not
It has not
commenced
commenced
production
production.
yet.
But then, if you see there are other products, like I said, we have corn,
Yes.
there's millet, there's yam.
Yeah.
Can there not be, yes, we've seen the last administration done their bits, of course, to some extent, put up policies and the rest of it in ensuring that the sector moves forward. But what's your advice that's going to act like an eye opener of any project aside the very popular rice and the rest of it that already made the major markets?
Yes. There are some, because of the nature of rice in Nigeria being a staple food. That is why the government put so much emphasis on it. Also, we have staple food like millet and corn, like you have mentioned. And we discovered that even as it is now, although Nigeria has a national grain reserve, we are still not up to capacity yet on it. So what I discover is that over time, Nigeria still find its way to import some of these other like beans, like this millet and the rest into the country, which is unnecessary. If actually we can grow our capacity locally here, so that we can be able to not only meet the local needs of Nigerians and also produce them in excess for export. And there was one professor that we were discussing the other time, and he said that even as it is in Nigeria, that Nigeria has not been able to sufficiently meet its local needs, talk less of exporting its products, that we should strive first to ensure that we have self-sufficiency in food production before we put so much emphasis on export. When you want to critically appraise what is said vis-a-vis a country like China that has over 1.3 million people, and they have enough food and they are exporting, what they have done is to ensure that they have ensured complete self-sufficiency of their of their countrymen and their locals, and it was the excess that was being exported. And when you are exporting in excess, now get the theory right. When you are exporting in excess, you have the capacity to reduce the price. But when you are exporting in scarcity, then you do not have option but to ensure that it increases. Anything that is in excess is sold at a lower rate. So that is why you see agricultural products or food processed products that are coming from countries like China come into other countries at a low price, because they are excess to requirement in their countries and they can give it out at a very low cost. That is where Nigeria needs to get to ensure that we have attained self-sufficiency to the extent that the products that we'll be packaging for export will be excess to Nigerian requirement, so that we will be able to get it at a very cheap rate and be able to export it and sell it abroad at a competitive rate as well. And that is where we should get to.
Wow, that's in fact, this is really very explanatory. Okay, so looking at I want to take the aspect where you said Nigerian being able to produce for Nigerians.
Yes,
first,
local consumption.
Local consumption first, before we now think of if you ask some people, they'll argue that even the total number of Nigerians are not the data.
Yes,
is not even, how do we get the actual data of Nigerians? Because the truth is, you see duplication of registration,
Yes.
and then this data safekeep, which is very important. Like I really didn't think that it's going to be it's going to be important for the importation and exportation business, but then
Yeah.
here it is. Yet we see that agencies started with the responsibility of playing their role as regards
Yes.
having this data. Of what effect is it really?
Yes, data is very important for planning. Data is also very important for strategic policy decision making, and data is also very important to aggregate growth and progress in a country. Just like you said earlier, we have various agencies that generate data in Nigeria, but at the end of the day, we cannot have accurate data. We have the National Population Commission that registers births and deaths. We have the Federal Road Safety that registers people that are driving, driver's license, that should know the number of cars we have in the country and the number of people driving. We also have the recently National Identity Card Management that should have been a holistic approach to be able to know near total the number of Nigeria's population. So you discover that most of the assessment that is being done on Nigeria, both locally and internationally, is based on World Bank projected reports on our population. And that is what even local experts are using for determination of policies and data, which is very, very wrong. And that is what Nigerian government has not been able to do, maybe due to political inclinations and other factors. Because this year we're supposed to have another census, which has been cancelled or postponed because of the new government. But over the years, what has the census done for us? Has it been accurate enough to give us the actual number of people in this country? Has it been adequate enough to give us the average number of people that live this country every year, or where we were 10 years ago and where we are today? So the importance of the census have not been well spelled out to the extent that this and this and this is what the census is expected to achieve for us in 3 areas of our economic growth, which agriculture is part of it. If I'm going to do a party, for example, throw a party, I must have projected that, okay, I'm expecting 500 people in this party, and I will have said, okay, I'm going to be able to cook 2 bags of rice for these 500 people. I'm going to kill 1 cow because I know there are 500 people coming. I'm going to buy crates of mineral drinks and the rest, budgeting the number of people that are coming to the occasion. But Nigeria does not have a near perfect figure of the population, and it has hampered our projections and rubbished everything that we have been planning over time. So most of the time, the projections of our population growth, of our population figures, is not accurate, and that is why sometimes we under prepare to the extent that we don't see the results. Because if we are having, some people say Nigeria is a population of 200 million people. I tell you that nobody knows, because Nigeria could be 250 million or even more. So when we are projecting on the basis of 180 million to 200 million for a country that is more than that, then we might not achieve the result, or it might not create the impact that is expected. So that is why data is very important, and I want to implore the government to improve on our data collection capacity, as other clients have, that you just click on the button and every details of your life comes out. So we can get there. We have the technology, we have the manpower, we have the experience, because this data that we are talking about is central to our growth if actually we want to grow.
Thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, on that note, you've heard it. Data is very, 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 very important if Nigeria hopes to grow, especially in the aspect of food sufficiency for its citizens first before we talk of exportation. That's how we wrap it up on this episode. Join us again, same time, same station. I am Khadija Oluwatoyin. Stay safe.